Uh, Panelist, moderator, is a medical doctor who did postgraduate studies on public policy and public administration. Please welcome Marilen Dañguilan.
Good afternoon. This is a panel on volunteerism and volunteers. And I have here our speakers. We have right now a Jane Uy Matiao, who is a mother, a blogger. I'm reading what they gave me. A blogger at Philippine Beat and a citizen advocate with Blogwatch. Then we have, and also, you have one of your ongoing activities is Apple Watch, which you co-founded with Noemi Dade. Then my other panelist, our other panelist, it's quite an exciting panel with these members, is Ross Juan. And Ross Juan is a social media and online marketing specialist and founder of TweetUp Manila. She also owns Commune, which is a coffee shop located in Salcedo Village. Then we have Senator Richard Gordon, humanitarian, lawyer, public servant, chairman, and CEO of Red Cross, Philippine Red Cross, but I remember him most as the mayor of Olongapo City. And then Engineer Megan Magallona Montuno, faculty of the College of Engineering, Xavier University, Cagayan de Oro City. Could I please have our panel members here? Please take the front seat. So having made introductions, even among yourselves, I think it's best that we start now because we were only given 35 minutes. And it would be very good if you could talk more about what you have been doing, what your organization has been doing, what the problems you have encountered, and the help that you might need, from the public. Maybe we can start with the only male among the, or, okay.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Ross. I'm with TweetUp Manila. I'm a social media strategist, but also I am one of the volunteers behind #RescuePH. How many of you actually use the hashtag, especially last month? Okay. RescuePH really is a hashtag, and we're a loosely organized group of volunteers from all over. We're made of people who attend tweetups, which are meetups for people who are very active on Twitter, Google developers, Google mappers, and a lot of other netizens, a lot of students, and really just people who wanted to help out. RescuePH was really what Maria was saying, the bottom-up approach. It was a bunch of citizens who saw what was happening outside. I mean, the typhoon was happening, and people were tweeting for help. People were tweeting about relatives stuck on the rooftops, the elderly, PWDs, pregnant women who are stuck in their homes, couldn't get out and needed help. And what we did really is just gather all the information, mostly from Twitter, use the data, put it into a Google document, and then we came up with a website, an app, last month, an SMS hotline so people could tweet in. And it was really just our way of gathering the data that was being given by people to social media, put it together, make it useful, and bring that data to organizations that can actually help, like the Red Cross, media agencies, and even the government. We were closely in contact with the spokesperson's office.
Good. Yeah, okay, thank you. Ross, just a question before you go on. I just want to, before I forget.
Yes.
So when you send your messages, what is the response time? Would you know?
Okay, what they actually do, people would tweet. And they would tweet all this information, addresses of people who needed help. And we asked them to append the hashtag RescuePH, just so that we can organize it into a thread that we can put together. Volunteers put this information in a database that's later mapped by Google Mappers, by the volunteers. And this information that we gather in the database is given to these agencies. Now, as I said, we're a very loosely organized team. And what we really just want to do is gather the information and give it to people who can actually act upon this in terms of response times and all the very scientific and highly organized things. These are things we are still aspiring to be able to do.
Thank you. Now, let's hear from Megan, Engineer Megan.
Good afternoon. I'm Megan. I'm with Xavier University. Well, actually, Xavier has been involved with quite a number of relief operations. Of course, times of disasters. Now, during Sendong, XU became the hub or headquarters for the DSWD or IOM Archdiocese-based relief operations. And then the XU campuses also serve as evacuation sites. And XUERC, or Engineer Resource Center, where I'm associated with, is, does a lot of hazard monitoring and also rapid damage assessment, which really is very dependent on the number of volunteers that we get, for who's really up for the task. Especially when it's post-disaster, they kind of tend to, or people kind of tend to avoid, of course, going back to damaged places. Now, what the kind of help we need, actually, relating to this is more on cyberblasting, actually, because you might say that Cagayan de Oro makes use of social media. Yes, but it still needs a lot of work. So it still needs to, to see what kind of tools it can use from social media, so that it can, say, improve the response, in that sense. And of course, since just recently, we've also been involved, aside from natural disasters, we've also been involved with relief operations pertaining to, say, armed conflicts, such as in Zamboanga. We are currently also the conduit for donations for such activities, and that's it.
So you coordinate too, apart from doing hazard maps?
It's mostly coordination.
So mostly your activities are geared or involve preparedness and post-disaster?
Yes po. And also, we're trying to go into the direction where we can educate most communities. We have actually quite a number, we've actually managed to, say, connect with a number of communities in northern Mindanao.
Okay, thank you. Jane? Yes. Jane?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jane Uy Matiao, and I'm part of a group of bloggers called Blogwatch. Most people know only about us because of elections, but really we're not about elections. We're just a group of citizens who are advocating for change in the Philippines. So we really tackle social and economic, political issues across the board. So just to give you an idea of first of who we are, I'd like to show you a short video. Can you have it?
Sure.
maybe you're wondering, so what has that got to do with disaster preparedness? No? Basically, what we realized as we were engaging people on social media was that we were getting connected to different people. We were not just connecting with netizens. We started getting connected with government, with agencies, because it was part of the advocacies that we were pushing for. So little by little, we were connecting to legislators, we were connecting to the agencies, we were connecting probably to celebrities, to ordinary netizens. And we realized that as we were pushing for all of these issues, we realized that that network could also be harnessed for disaster. Now, when Ondoy struck, Blogwatch was not around yet, but I had a personal experience. Basically, I was online. Mabuti na lang the internet did not go down at all during the time of Ondoy. So I was online most of the time. But at that time, there was no such thing as Rescue PH. There was no crisis map from Google. And so as we were trying to help connect people who needed rescue with people who could give the rescue and relief afterwards, we realized that everything was screwed. Every network, every TV network had its own database. And sometimes the databases were duplicates of each other. Sometimes a person would get rescued, but would show up in one spreadsheet, but would not show up in another spreadsheet. So that's where we saw that there were really things that could be improved upon. There was a website, I don't know if you remember, Bayanihan Online. I don't know if anyone here has gone to that. But eventually, Bayanihan Online became the website where all of these different things was put together. So that's when we realized that there was really a need for a central place where people could go to, either to ask for help or to provide help or to look for people and to be found. And that's, I think, what Google's doing right now. The Rescue PH hashtag also developed, and it became a central thing. At least now it is a universal hashtag. Yeah. During Habagat, I had a personal experience that proved to me how important and what a good potential social media is for rescue. I was personally looking at Facebook, and then I saw one of my friends who posted that there was somebody who was stuck at the second floor of her room, of her house, but needed help to be brought to the hospital because she was sick. And so since the area was very near where I was, and it so happened that because of some other advocacies we had, I was connected to the vice mayor of that city. I tweeted the mayor and said, Mayor, Vice, merong nangangailangan ng rescue dito sa area na to. So immediately, he responded and said, give me the exact address. So I went back to my friend who was on Facebook. I was on Twitter with the vice mayor, but my friend was on Facebook, and I said, the vice mayor needs an exact address. So she gave the address. I forwarded it to the mayor through Twitter. And a few hours later, my friend tweeted back, made a post message and said that the person who needed rescuing was rescued. A boat came, rescued her from the second floor, brought her to the hospital. So that was a very small thing, but for me, that was a large impact as far as what social media can do. And I think that's what Blogwatch is trying to do now. We have a growing network as Blogwatch people. We would like to be able to use that network for education, to be able to spread the word about what people can do to prepare. Because it's important not just to react. We've been very reactive for the longest time, but we're a country where a lot of disasters come. It's about time that we really prepare our people. And I think by using social media networks, we will be able to spread the word even faster. So that's all. Before I end, I would just like to acknowledge some of my Blogwatch people who are here. If you're in the room, can you please stand up and be recognized? So people know where you are. Can we have some of my Blogwatch people here? The family?
The Blogwatch family, please.
Please stand up.
Thank you, Jane. Richard.
Ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. My name is Dick Gordon. I look much better than Governor Salceda. I've been a volunteer of the Red Cross for the last 46 years. My mother was in the Red Cross for 63 years until she died. The Red Cross is the foremost humanitarian organization in the whole world. It was invented out of war by a young man by the name of Henri Dunant. The Geneva Conventions, which protect combatants during wartime, we are the guardians of that. We started that. And we blossomed into a disaster organization through the years, and we are in 188 national societies. We're all connected to them. And we have 100 chapters here in our country and about 2 million volunteers in our country. We are therefore a volunteer organization. We work in accordance with 7 fundamental principles. We're principally, like I said, humanitarian. After all, we do our work for humanitarian service, which means we go to the most vulnerable and we uplift human dignity. We are independent of government. We're neutral. We do not take sides. We're impartial. We are impartial. We take care of everyone, whether they are of any denomination, race, creed, color, or whatever. We are a voluntary organization. We have 1.8 million volunteers throughout the country and growing. And we have unity. There's only one Red Cross Society in the whole country. And we are a universal organization. We're everywhere. Having said that, we try to connect now on the basis of the new technologies that are available to us. And the mantra there is volunteers plus logistics plus information technology equals the most successful Red Cross or response in any event. Having said that, we use volunteers. We call them Red Cross 143. We have Pledge 25 for Blood. We use volunteers to connect to us and inform us what is the present situation. And before they even do that, we try to train them on what I call the following, the 4 Ps. Predict the hazard, what is your kalaban there? Plan, what do you need to do? Prepare, what tools do you need? Practice, you have to practice it before you do anything. And then of course you have to report. And then that will give you the tools to be able to cope, mitigate, relieve, and rehabilitate. That's the Red Cross. We've been in every facet of any disaster, be it war or natural disasters. In blood, we know how much blood we have in every chapter. For example, in the recent Zamboanga incident, we have already supplied, in the first 5 days, we supplied all the blood needs. We have sent 410 blood units in Zamboanga. We have already also conducted our relief operations. We serve about 10,000 meals a day. And at the same time, we have provided for utensils like food, non-food items like towels, plates, everything, and hygiene kits, including sanitary napkins, toothbrushes, toothpaste, everything. They're provided with that. But the most important thing that we're trying to do now is to try and put this together through what I call the 143 system. I love you. 1 leader plus 43 people in every volunteer. That's the minimum. We could certainly use BlogWatch. We could certainly use all these people over here to join us and coordinate with us so that we could get the information just on time, all the time. It is essential that we have information during a disaster because we have to triage. We have a system where we have logistics. We have anywhere from blood to ambulances. We have about 100 ambulances all over the country, 4-wheel drive ambulances, big ambulances. We have accompanying fire trucks in case they need it. We have rescue trucks in case of an earthquake. We have concrete cutters. We have Jaws of Life. We have 5 of those, and we have 6x6 trucks that can negotiate heavy floods. And we have about a little navy of about maybe 80 rubber boats and flat boats. Plus, we have 2 amphibians to make sure that we can undertake the rescue. But you know, rescue is a very exciting, dramatic thing. But to me, pag nagre-rescue ka na, talo ka na. Dapat right away, evacuate na muna tayong lahat. Para sa ganun, masosolve ang problema. Rescuing is dramatic, it's exciting, but really, you are only able to do so. So, in the course of teaching our people, the biggest technology that we have, for example, is we whistle 3 times, and that means evacuate. Whether you like it or not, you must evacuate. So every one of our volunteers must have that. Did I get your attention? Yes, of course. Yeah. And so when you have that among the volunteers, you can actually have a source of blood. You have walking blood bank donors. We know which type. This is how we operate. For example, if I'm recruiting you all, and someday you'll need blood, I will say, who has type O blood here? Raise your hand. Raise your hand and stand up. Somebody is going to list your name, your email, so that when we need blood, we can call on you in that particular area. Type O, Type A, Type B, Type Sidik Gordon, pwede rin. No? Now, having said that, you can also learn to make sure that, send to us what are the, for example, sa Dapitan, palaging baha. We would call on somebody there, or they would call us, bumabaha na doon. Sa Albay, may volcano. You name it, I've gone through it. Pinatubo, Taal, Albay, I've been there many, many times, and even in earthquakes. That's why we have learned to make sure that to use technology, you have to make sure that you have information capability, and that is why we're building up what we call an operation center. For the last 6 years, we've had that operation center. We're modernizing it as we go along so that we could immediately react, or what we call triage, which means prioritize who will get the assistance right away. You cannot help everybody. Finally, on the rehabilitation phase, we have built 45,000 homes. Now, we didn't build it. We just provided the tools, plus they provide the equity, the food. We provide the food. We give them food. Sometimes we give them cash coupons, and they build the homes. And we have built 45,000 homes all over the country. So if you want to join an organization which is connected, where you will have some exciting action, where you will count the most, join the Red Cross. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we can take some questions from the crowd. Any questions? Here we talked about the volunteers, Red Cross. It's not only, now we find out it's not only during disasters, as he said, as the chairman said, rescue might be exciting, but really, we're too late. There must be preparedness, planning, and all that. The 4 Ps. I wish Secretary Soliman were here. Yes, prepare, plan, predict, prepare.
Predict, that's my name, Dick.
Okay, predict,
Plan,
prepare,
practice. You have to practice all of that.
Then we have,
Cope, mitigate, relieve, rehabilitate.
oh, that too. And then 1, 4, 3. That's the best. Yes, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Carlos Lasa. I'm from a volunteer group called ivolunteer.com.ph, and we basically organize and connect organizations with volunteers across the Philippines. Now, given that the panel is about volunteerism, what do you think are the opportunity areas when it comes to disaster response management in terms of volunteers? Do you think there is a general lack of volunteers across the Philippines? And in what specific areas do you think we should work on in terms of volunteerism? I'm asking the entire panel.
Great.
I think in terms of the need for volunteers, there will always be a need for volunteers, not just for rescue, but for everything. I mean, there are different organizations focusing on preparedness and education, and then for rescue and all that. In terms of Rescue PH, what we really need are collaborators who will help us eradicate the need for the hashtag RescuePH. When the volunteers do get together, a bunch of them are scattered around the room, we all agree that the ultimate goal is to make RescuePH obsolete, that there won't be a need for that hashtag. It came out of just the need. We saw what was happening, no one was responding to the tweet, so we did what we had to do at that given point in time. But it's also saddening that every year it looks like we're gonna have to keep doing it until we finally find a solution, a long-term solution to address what it is that constantly happens to the country anyhow. So I think now what we really need are great minds. I mean, whatever you're good at, if you're good at developing apps, if you're good at coming up with outrageous ideas, just come to us and tell us how can we all come together and finally get rid of the RescuePH hashtag.
Megan? I think you just have to hit.
Well, it's surprising that there are actually students, or say most students are actually willing to volunteer. But for Xavier University, I think the types of volunteers we really need are those willing to get into the technical side of volunteering, especially for analysis, for disaster, say for for risk reduction, mitigation. And they really need to get into mapping. They need to learn how to use, say, open source software, open source mapping software, especially those presented earlier. They need to be able to translate those as well into audiences that, you know, that need to understand the data. They want to help, or they need actually for them to get over, say, any situation they're in. So more technical volunteers actually.
Jane?
In our case, for example, we're more ready for education. You know, everyone in this room can volunteer in a certain way. You don't have to be the type of person to physically go out and rescue someone. There are people here who are probably capable of doing that, but there are many also who may not be able to do that, but will be able to volunteer in some other way. I think later there will be a time when people here will be able to volunteer. But I think if you are online, just like most of us, I think, are netizens, first of all, I think it's important that you also add to your social network the agencies and the people, the netizens who are involved in disaster preparedness, rescue, and relief. That's the first thing, because if you're not connected to these people, then how are you going to be able to help? How will you even get the information that's coming out of these agencies if you are not connected? So for me, the first thing is connect. The second thing is engage. That's how we learned. When we started connecting to legislators, to agencies, we found out that by engaging them, we are actually able to influence, in some way, change. One good example was when the government put up the typhoon signals. I don't know if you remember that it did not start out the way it is now. Now, it first started out with color codes that looked like a traffic light. Did you remember that? It was yellow, green, and red at that time. And when that coding came out, immediately a lot of us, including myself, started tweeting and saying, I don't think that's the right color codes, because if you are going to put green as moderately heavy or as moderately heavy rain, I don't think people will get it, because green means good, diba? Green means okay, it's okay to go. So if you're trying to warn people, you're not supposed to use color green. So for a long time, there was a discussion online between some people in government and netizens, and we were insisting that that was not the right code. Eventually, they relented, and now it's yellow, orange, and red. So there are many, many things that can be done online. So for me, what's very important now is assess what you can do within your own limitations, and then look at your skill base, and then look at the areas where you can volunteer. It cannot be that there's no area where you can volunteer. There's at least one area where you can be of help. So that's all.
The Red Cross is easy. You know? You can volunteer in your own, you can work in your own office. You know, you can organize your group of 143 in your own office. You can report what you see by cell phone or by email or what have you. Just dial 143 or text 143. You'll be all right. If you want to be a little bit more specific, you could go into training. For example, yesterday we had the blood day. We have people whom we reward, galloners we call them. One family had given 161 blood units, 161 times over the years. Now, the wife has also given 81 times, and the children are now doing that. They can do that. And by the way, blood is for everyone. You can, if you need blood, just call 143. We will call you. Every day, people call me in my cell phone or text me or email me, and we are able to respond to them, especially in even outlying areas. The other night was Tanawan. So the other thing that I want you to know is that if you want to do, you know, our blood director is here, Dr. Nolupta. Satana, please, so let's see you. You're not formidable. And of course, if you want to be in disasters, you can also train for that. Most of our ambulance drivers are people responding during ambulance situations. They're volunteers. Even our fire trucks. We have about 17 fire trucks and they're volunteers. You want to rescue some boats, you can do that as well. We do what we call water search and rescue and also water sanitation. We provide water. We can provide water for 40,000 people in one day with just one machine, but we have small machines as well. So marami, you can actually choose. You can be somebody who takes out the messages in the Red Cross in your own chapter so that when people call, there's somebody who can take out the messages and you farm it out and you send it to the operations center so that we can get it done. No? So you can, if you want to do CPR or first aid safety, that in your own office, for example, we can teach you how to save lives. Somebody has a heart attack or somebody chokes on his food, we will teach you how to do that. Of course, may bayad yun. That's our bread and butter as well. But anyway, but if you're a volunteer, it will come in. If you volunteer regularly, that will come in for free. So having said all that, marami kayong magagawa na may tutulong sa Red Cross. Like I said, you can be an organizer so that it's a very proactive Red Cross that you see today. In the old days when you call the Red Cross, when you ask them, I want to volunteer, pwede kang pumunta sa office, sagot ka ng telepono. No way. Now you have 143. You can say, okay, I want to volunteer. Can I volunteer right here in Cavite in my factory? Yes, you can. So on the way, you see an accident. We will send an ambulance there right away. We have an ambulance in Cavite. It's flooded here already in the Pitan. It's always flooded, you know. So it's hanggang baywang na. So we will put out the word na, you know, you can blow the whistle. All volunteers get a whistle. They get an ID card that has a cheat sheet that will tell you who to call and what to do right away. So volunteering is the most important job in the world. I've been a volunteer in the Red Cross. I'm chairman. I do not get a single centavo from the Red Cross. I work practically every day now that I'm out of the Senate. Good enough, wala na akong napolis doon. No? And of course, let me tell you that I don't get paid. I've seen the world through the Red Cross. I've been in the board of directors, board of governors of the International Red Cross. By the way, I did the humanitarian law, the Philippine humanitarian law, as well as the disaster law of our country in the Senate. So you can see, volunteering has always been an integral part of my life. Subic, if you're familiar with Subic, was done by volunteers. Many of them came from the different schools. They were not paid. I was surprised you said Olongapo. Many of our people in Olongapo volunteered to protect it and preserve it so that it would not be stolen. And it shot up like a rocket. And then we had double summa cum laudes from Wharton and Harvard, lawyers and Stanford business graduates who gave up their time and made Subic the most exciting program of the government at that time. Unfortunately, when we left, medyo kuha na. But that's the way it is. We have to continue. The one thing about volunteerism you must remember is it must be sustainable. You must stay the course. And by the way, if you volunteer, when you apply for a job, you say, I'm a volunteer of the Red Cross. Malaking bagay yan, especially if you know CPR, first aid, or you have been through disasters, then they will know you're not just a spectator. You're not a stranger. Albert Camus, l'Étranger. You are somebody who makes things happen. Not just rescuing, but thinking and doing things that will uplift life. Not just rescuing, but providing dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, too. So, are there any other questions? Yes. You're the guy from Valenzuela, Bulacan, no? Yeah.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Just a minute. No? I just want you to introduce some of my people here. The ERU guy, Emergency Rescue Unit, is a guy who's 6 feet tall. Will you please stand up, Leo? There you go. See, there are no height limitations. We all aim high. He's an architect, but he has rescued many people from floods, from earthquakes, etc. And we have others here, but I will mention them later.
Yes, I want to ask my idol, my former mayor in Olongapo City, because I came from Olongapo too. I used to donate blood every 6 months, at times every 3 months in Valenzuela City, because I was educated, I was informed of the benefits, the beauty of donating blood to my body. My confusion is, bakit for so long years ng Red Cross ay nag-inform at they have done the best. Pero pagka ang tao tinanong mo, aywan ko dito sa ating crowd, pag pinagtas ko ang kamay kung ilan talaga yung nagdo-donate, hindi ko alam kung kalahati o meron. Kasi sa community natin, pag sinabi ko sa community ko sa Valenzuela, naghahanap ako na magdo-donate, talagang hahabulin mo pa, kailangan mo pambayaran. Parang hindi na-inform of the benefits, but parang yung information dissemination, nagkulang ba tayo doon ang Red Cross? Bakit pagka sinabi mo sa kabataan, tumatakbo pa, at kahit sa matatanda na parang wala silang gana. Nagkulang po ba, Chairman, ang Red Cross sa pag-iedukado o pagpapahayag ng kabutihan ng pagdodonate?
If you call Red Cross right now, I will tell you how much blood we have in Olongapo, how much blood we have in Sulu, how much blood we have and what type in any of these areas. We have regular blood donors. Tama ka, kung minsan pag tinabing magbigay ka ng dugo, natatakot yung iba, takot sa ineksyon. No? Actually, there are people like that. That's why I mentioned that fellow 186 times ba si Colonel Taragosa, no? 186 times na siya nagbigay ng dugo. And it's actually healthy. You change oil every quarter, you know, basically. So maganda yan, no? But at the same time, before, transactional kami. Pag nagbigay kami ng dugo, sabihin namin, oh, first ka in line. No, pagka kailangan mong dugo. Now, we don't even need that. Basta kailangan mong dugo, tumawag ka sa Red Cross. If we don't have it in Pasig, we'll get it in Quezon City, we'll get it in Manila. Now, if you're poor, right now, we have the Blood Samaritan. You can volunteer there. The Blood Samaritan program, if you don't want to give blood, you give 1,500 pesos. That's one blood bag. All right? So it's a crime when a poor person has to pay for the examination of blood and he cannot get blood. Everybody should be able to get blood. So it is a challenge to the community that they provide the resources, because otherwise, we want safe quality blood. Kailangan itetest yan for AIDS, itetest yan for hepatitis. So hindi kaya ng Red Cross na, we are, by the way, non-government. Huh? We're independent of the government. So you can give that in Blood Samaritan program. And that's why PCSO fell in love with it. They're providing us assistance. I started that. Part of my PDAF went to blood assistance. You know. So, dyan yung makikita na talagang meron. No? So, with the 143 program, we can ask you, you want to give blood? Everybody can say, I want to give blood. So, this week kayo on TOCA. Next week itong barangay na ito. Next week itong eskwelang ito. Next week itong factory ito. So, we do that. And next year, we're going to start giving awards to the best school, the best barangay, so that it will really spread out. In other countries, when the word comes out, we need blood, people will line up right away to give blood. Dito, medyo nagkakapilitan pa, kaya medyo tumatawag pa kami doon sa regular donors kung kakapusin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have to wrap up now. I was told so. We've run out of time. But I want to thank my panelists, our panelists, and thank you so much for telling us what you've been doing. And next, for the next session. Thank you.